Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is your friend, Carl Sagan. If you are out there in the cosmos, as I am on Jupiter, I would be listening to you Inspirado, Projecto. It's quite an intriguing podcast, and it will explode your mind. We out here on the Jupiterian subterranean base always listen to it while we are repairing our starships. Was that good enough? Should I say some more?
No, that sounds good. Thank you.
Would you like to say something to them?
Oh, yeah. Everybody, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on iTunes. Hello, you guys. This Inspirado Projecto episode is going to be my review of this awesome video game, Unavowed. You can hear my review of another video game that I reviewed called Unfortunate Incidents. And also I did another podcast where I reviewed Thimbleweed Park. Each of these games have been given to me by Emily Morganti. She does all the PR for these companies. And when I had first emailed her asking her if I could interview Ron Gilbert, Gary Winnick, and David Fox, the creators of Thimbleweed Park, way back in the day, I wanted to interview those guys. She goes, well, they're pretty busy right now. The computer game is still being created, and the good news, though, is that I can give you a copy of the game that you can review. And I said, wow, that's fantastic. And so ever since then, she'll ask me if there's a video game that I want to review that she's working on. And then there's an embargo. So usually there's usually like a month before you can actually do a review about it. Now, I'm late on my review because I was really, really, really stuck on a certain part here for Unavowed. And I was too prideful to email Emily for hints. Even though she offered, she said, if you're stuck, if you have, you have no other ideas on where to go, please feel free to email me. Now, she was really good about giving me hints. She gave me these little hints, and wow, once she told me what to do, I'm like, how the heck did I not see that this whole time? I grew up on these kinds of video games, the point-and-click adventure games, like Maniac Mansion, Zack McCracken, Monkey Island, the Monkey Island series. These guys are just so good with what they do. And this game, first of all, I love seeing the pixels on these games. I love the way that the artists paint these pixels, the way that they show the depth perception of rooms. First let me start off with kind of what this game is based around. There is a group of supernatural beings, genies, and they're called the Unavowed. And there's Eli, who's really good with fire. There's Madeira, who is good with swords, fighting. She could tell when people are lying. And when the game starts off, you're already right in the middle of the action, and you are required already to start making decisions and in a sense owning information that you have no idea about. It's like having amnesia. It's like experiencing the movie Memento, where you feel like you have the same issue that he has in the movie. That's kind of like what this video game is at times. You can choose whether you want to be male or female. You can come up with your name. And it's great because there's this aspect of consequence going on in here. I would suggest saving it often. Save this game before you do a mission, before you choose who you're going to bring on a mission. This is the thing, too. As you go on, you meet characters who all have a special ability, a special talent. And as you bring these folks onto your team, when you go on to other missions, you can only choose 2 out of several of these characters to assist you. So there are 3 of you on a mission. Your main person is whoever it is that you start out with. You're always going to have that person. That's you. And you're going to come across things, certain dialogue choices where you're only left with these particular dialogue choices, and you can decide whether you want to say which one to say. Now that each different one that you say is going to get a different reaction, and in some of these point-and-click adventure games, you are given the opportunity to go back and choose a different line of dialogue. Well, in here, sometimes that line of dialogue will still be there. In a lot of cases, it'll disappear. After you make a choice, it disappears, just like in real life. You got that dialogue choice once, okay, sorry, there it goes. You chose what you chose. Now you have to deal with the consequence. Now you have to face your destiny. There are going to be times in here where you sort of battle the big boss, and they leave it up to you to make the decision. Pure choose your own adventure. Now, everybody's got something to say about what you decide. Everybody's got something to say. It's really cool because these characters will talk among themselves, and you'll learn more and more information about them. You'll get interesting conversations between 2 characters that you pick that would not have happened if you had picked 2 different characters. And there are certain things you'll always there will always be a way for you to be able to get out of particular tricky situations. It just depends on who you have with you to get you out of that situation. It's interesting. While you're in these situations, you will see something and go, oh, if I had this particular character, I know exactly how I would be opening up this door, or how I would be figuring out this puzzle, etc., etc. Like, if I had that character, okay, I don't have that character. I got this character and this character. Okay, what do we do? What are their talents? What are they good? What are they good at? I found that one of these characters, well, one of these characters really good with swords, picking locks, stabbing bad guys, stuff like that. Another character, really good at speaking to ghosts. Really good. It's actually 2 characters. It's one character and then he's got a little friend. And they talk to ghosts, or they call them geists. Then there's another guy who's really good with fire. Also really good at what's called fire reading things. So if you find like a piece of paper, ashes, you could tell it was burnt. You could talk to him and go, hey, can you fire read something? And he'll look through those ashy, the ashy paper that's burnt up, and then he'll recreate what that is, and you can then read that note and go, here's some information. There are times where you come across information maybe pinned up to a wall, And, just exhaust all choices. Try everything. So you'll come across something up on a wall, pinned to a wall, and you go, okay, well, what do I have in my inventory that I could, in a sense, use with this thing? The things that you can usually do something with or to or in combination with something or another person in your clan, it'll turn white. It'll let you know, here's something. Maybe it's a cabinet you can open. Maybe it's something you could pick up sitting there on a desk. Oh, I could pick this thing up. I might be able to use this for later. I don't know how. Let's pick it up. Let's see. Then there are times where you might just give that object to someone. If you move your cursor to the top, there's a little inventory area up there, and it shows you the various people. You can use these people for different things. You might be stuck in the spirit world, and you want to walk through a wall. Strangely enough, you're in the spirit world, but you cannot walk through walls. You can utilize another character who might do such things, pick them out of your inventory, so to speak, and you choose that object, and they will do that. If there's a lock that needs to be picked, you don't have lock-picking materials, well, the person who's good with the sword might be good for something like that. So there are all kinds of little things like this. You might see some records, for instance, files, and you go, what's this all about? You can't figure out anything, and you're talking to your fellow people. This is the cool thing, too. You can talk to your fellow people, and you go, what do you think we should do next? And what's so great is that they always give you clues that speak about the same thing, so to speak, but in a roundabout way. One might point out that particular item that you need, or point out that particular place that you need to visit or person you need to talk to, but they'll say it in a different way than the other person. But they'll basically, in a sense, be saying the same thing. It's a very simple, like with some of those other games, those other point-and-click games, it'll have a list of things. It'll say use with, go to, it'll have a whole list of things. Give this to that. This is just you move the thing, and it knows. It knows. You're like, okay, we're gonna let's utilize this with this. Let's just try this, and it does it. See, the tricky thing about reviewing these games is talking about the game in a dynamic way without giving anything away. Yet do I give enough information that intrigues someone to want to play that game? Because that's the whole point. For instance, anyone who's played Unforeseen Incidents or Thimbleweed Park, or heck, started this Unavowed game, which came out a few days ago. Now that it's out, I can review it. The embargo has been lifted. So, obviously, I would love for any of you to get a hold of this game, because then we could have little inside jokes with each other. Those of you who have Anchor, we could send little samples of the game to each other. Here's a little thing. I'm talking to a woman right now. Now, I'm not done with this game yet. I'm reviewing it, and I'm probably more than halfway through. You kind of get an idea at a certain point in the game how much farther you go. So at least that's my theory. At least right now I'm saying I'm going, I think I'm close to the end here. So you're gonna hear me talk with this woman right now, so you get an idea.
believe me. He just needs to be found. You said the Grant City Trust was involved. Is that true?
Yes. Hugh Kravitz was compelled to kidnap your son by his boss at the Grant City Trust.
Hugh and the Grant City Trust. I never liked that place. I never liked this city. We should have just stayed down in Florida.
Can we ask you a few questions about what happened?
Sure. Whatever it takes.
So, when you talk, when your character talks, you just pick dialogue choices. There are a series of dialogue choices. So there's no voice for your character. There are voices for the other characters, just like you heard. Right now we're talking to a woman about her missing child. And one of these characters here, this woman, she's really good at talking with people. She used to be a cop. So she knows a lot of people in town. So when you're in these downtown areas, she's really, really helpful with that, with getting a really good rapport. It's really interesting. It's really cool. It's very smart dialogue, too, in these things. It's like a history lesson. They talk to you about these mythological, folklore subjects, and it's really cool. And it's very, it's dealing with the spirit realm, too, which is fantastic. There's also, what's also fun about this is that there's a conspiracy theorist guy in here. There is a lot of interesting supernatural creatures. There's a lot of great music. The music's really cool. The sound effects are great. It's fun, it uses flashbacks, too. It uses flashbacks, then all of a sudden, you're given dialogue choices for a flashback that you have no frame of reference to. That's what's so interesting. You're given no choice. Well, it's funny. You're given choices of dialogue, but you're given no choice but to choose one of those choices. Without any frame of reference, without knowing what you're doing. So you're kind of interesting. You're constructing you're constructing a dialogue for yourself that takes place in the past as if it never existed in the first place. Which is interesting, because that makes me think of, like, and we've talked about this before, how right now there's this moment, there's this us, then there's that future us. Just like 20 minutes ago, there was that past us. Now, yes, when we deal with the time-space continuum, it's all happening now. Even if it was way back then, it's happening now. Even if it's happening in the future, happening now. Just, you know what I mean, in terms of you can think back, oh, yesterday this happened. Or as we call it yesterday, oh, yesterday this happened. So, just as there was a yesterday, this now is tomorrow's yesterday. So, what this video game is making me think is, it's kind of interesting how we could go back and we go back in our memories and we think of something that happened. We can choose to remember it how we want to. Isn't that the interesting thing? We can actually change in our brains how that dialogue happened between us. Let's say we feel bad about something that happened long ago. This is where alchemy comes into play. This is where they say, turning lead into gold. This is where alchemy comes into play. Transforming this thing, this frequency, transforming it into a different frequency, different vibration, a different wavicle. So interesting. I'm going to ask this woman if she moved here from Florida. So here we go. We're going to hear her response.
Yeah. Cedar Key. Born and raised. Same as my husband, Travis. He applied to the Grant City Trust on a whim. Didn't expect to actually get hired. And now, here we are.
The voice acting in this game is great, too. I always love listening for the same person doing different voices. It's always fun to listen to those nuances and to see if I can pick it out. Even when we do different voices, there are still these sort of trademark things that we shuffle in there in a strange way, right? In a strange way, there's little things that we shuffle in there without us even realizing it. Also, I'm noticing here with the clothes of the people that you were moving around, I'm just now noticing this. They are more in like these darker colors, grays, dark blues, browns, dark beige, like tan. Is that tan? It's more of a grayish tan. Anyway, your people are kind of just darker. Other folks you come across, their clothes, like this lady, she's got, and maybe I'm just saying this out loud right now because it just looks like it, like I'm just seeing this right now. She seems lighter colors, lighter blue jeans, lighter top, like a whiter, like a tan, but like a lighter tan, a pinkish thing, pinkish kind of tannish. So it's very interesting. What's fun too is you can look around. There'll be all kinds of things on the shelves, in drawers, all kinds of stuff. You can search around, and that's always been interesting to me. Is like what things characters feel are not important to look at or important to look at. Certain things that characters feel in a video game. That must be such a crazy thing. When I was listening to the podcast by the Thimbleweed Park guys, it was neat to hear the process they were going through. I can only imagine what process these people in Unavowed went through. All the research, all that research into these mystical realms, all these little nuances. It's crazy too because sometimes in some of these video games, after you investigate something, if you go back, it's like it's the same. You're going to get the same dialogue choices or whatever that you did before. In this game, Unavowed, what's cool is you could investigate something, look at something, talk to someone, and then something happens, or you find a new thing, or you talk to a new person. Now, that new thing that you found, or that new information that you just heard about, you could take that back to that person or to that location that you already looked at, and you can now try one of these new pieces of information in that location or with that person, and all of a sudden there's a whole new dialogue choice. Because now you're talking with them about some information that you learned from another person, which is what's happening now with this lady. Before, I tried to get buzz up into her apartment, talk to her about stuff, but I had to learn a piece of different information. That once I learned that information, that now she's, oh yeah, come on up to the apartment. Let's talk about this stuff. I'm going to ask her about this particular person, Hugh Kravitz. Not to be confused with Lenny Kravitz. How do you know Hugh Kravitz?
He was friends with my husband. They're co-workers. Or rather, they were co-workers. Hugh got promoted a few months ago. We had him over to celebrate. It was was the night before Elijah disappeared. I never noticed that connection before. Why would I? But how? Why?
We don't know. I'm sorry.
What about Hugh? He's always outside the bank. Did you ask him?
He's in the hospital right now. It's complicated.
Of course he is.
It's gotten sugar plums dancing in my head, playing with these point-and-click games throughout the years, just thinking, wow, what kind of world would I build were I to make a video game of this nature, point-and-click? I've gotten an idea for a video game that I really, if any of you are video game programmers, you're looking for video game ideas, this is one that has not been done yet. An element of it has been invented since I first envisioned this idea. However, what's beautiful is that now that I know that that's a reality, that aspect of it is out there, now it makes that job much easier for whoever I pitch this idea to for a video game. Has not been done before. It could be a point-and-click game, now that I think about it. It could be. We rarely see point-and-click games on PlayStations or Xboxes, right? I think Thimbleweed Park, it might be out for one of those. I don't know if Unavowed is. That would be so kick-ass to see Unavowed available for Xbox and PlayStation and get that kind of momentum moving for those kinds of platforms. That point and click, my goodness. Imagine if more kids were to play these point and click kind of games than, let's say, the Metal Gear or Call of Duty. Point and click games, what's so fun about this? It challenges your critical thinking. It challenges it, and it enhances your imagination. It enhances your creativity in your regular life. Sherlock Holmes, could you imagine the kind of crazy addiction Sherlock Holmes would have to these point-and-click games if these were around during the time that he was alive? Boy, oh boy. It really utilizes your deductive reasoning. I attribute so much to these point-and-click games to how to enhancing my own creativity through the years. My brother Josh and I, holy cow, we didn't have the internet back then to look up cheats, or we didn't have Emily Morganti to email and go, oh, can you please help me out with this? We had each other right there, two brothers, one mind, trying out different stuff. It was yes and all the way. I was a jerk. I was the one who was moving everything around. I should have let him play the video game. To all you kids out there, any of you who happen to be listening to this who are kids, or if you have kids, please encourage the give and take aspect of life. Give and take. Cooperation, reciprocation, sharing. Both kids can get, or all three kids, or who knows what, can all get enjoyment out of watching it as much as playing it. So maybe that was it. Maybe Josh just appreciated just watching me play. However, I digress. Having our two minds there to go through Maniac Mansion, Zach McCracken, what have you, to try stuff out, it was great. Then we'd go off to school. We'd be at school. We'd be daydreaming about these games. We'd come home, and then we'd test out our theories. We'd test out our ideas. Hey, Josh, during lunch today, I thought about this thing with Maniac Mansion. What if we try that? And he's like, yeah, let's try it. We try it, we do it. Oh, I got an idea, Kurt. I got thought about this thing. All right, let's try it. I think these games are designed to play with another person next to you. So you can take turns, testing stuff out. And you can help kind of come up with ideas. These games are meant for pure absurdity. More absurdity, more so than practicality, that's for sure. That's the thing. I have these point and click adventure games growing up and playing them. I have them to blame for my non-practicality mindset. Thank you guys for affecting my mind in that fashion. Unavowed, same thing. You got to try out impractical stuff. Yes, there are practical things. Remember, we're dealing with video games here. Just like movies. Movies are not required to make any sense. They are required, however, to take you to a different dreamland. It's funny, we like to watch movies that are based in reality. Why is that? We're already living a real reality, thing. Or as I like to say, a video game. So why would we want to go into a movie and expect it to follow the same physics, time frames, etc., that we do here? Why? Why? What's the fun in that? I say the same thing with these video games. Unavowed, it's great. They break down the differences between these spirits, these spirit realms, and it gets you thinking. There's a large landscape to travel in this game. Try utilizing notes next to notes. Or next to posters on the wall, even. Test out everything more than once. Even if you've already tested it. There might be something you just did that now unlocks that particular thing or gives you insight into how to deal with that thing. And plus, what's so fun about this game is wondering, wow, if I had these other two characters with me, I wonder how their responses would be to whatever this character is saying to me. Here, let's go. We're going to ask her another question. We're going to ask her about this guy named, do you know Jason Grant? Here we go.
Didn't he, die? I don't know much about him. Sorry.
Sometimes folks are difficult to talk to within Unavowed. In other words, they're reluctant to give up information. However, if you happen to have a different character with you, what happens is sometimes that character then can now talk, they bring up a different aspect that you didn't expect. It's neat too because they give you foreshadowing. They in Unavowed, they lead your eyes in the direction that you need to go. So you might see someone walk off screen, then you go off screen and they're still there saying something, and they go off screen and then you follow off screen in that direction, and they're still there. And then you see them go disappear into a building, let's say, or a place, and you go, "Oh, okay, thank you, makers of Unavowed. You're teaching me that is a place that I can go now, because that person went there. Oh, okay, maybe I could go there too. Maybe there's something to uncover over there." How many of you play video games? How many of you love the point-and-click games? How many of you have played Maniac Mansion, Zack McCracken, Monkey Island, those kinds of games? This is that vibe. This is that feel. This is a very intriguing story. There's so many little layered things going on. Try every combination of everything. Here's a hint. This is what got me stuck. And I'll give you a hint. And you'll know what it is when you see it. I'll use the word combination. I'll use the word lock. I'll use the word teeth. I'll use the word colors. I'll use the word pay attention to the numbers on the page. I'll use the word pay attention close attention to the teeth. Oh my God, I've given away too much. I've given away too much. I'm a terrible, terrible video game reviewer. Oh, take this thing away from me. Take it away. Take it away. So there you have it, folks. My review of Unavowed. It's on Steam. That seems to be the go-to place these days. You go to Steam, STEAM. Type that in. Type that into your DuckDuckGo search engine. Type in Steam video games. And that's where you'll find it. Okay, folks. If you're listening to this and you got Anchor, feel free to leave me a message. If you're listening to this and you don't have Anchor, but you have email, feel free to email me, inspiradoprojecto@gmail.com. Email me with your audio. Email me with your sentiments of the fun times you've had with point-and-click adventure games. Heck, email me with what your favorite aspects are of your favorite video games. What do you like most about video games? What do you feel they teach you? What information have you learned from video games that you then went on to apply into your personal video game reality experience? Here we go. We're going to ask this woman one more question, and then I'm out of here. This question is, how did Elijah disappear again?
Like I said, I took him outside for a walk in the sun, and he just disappeared. I didn't imagine it. I know what I saw.
There you go. She did not imagine it, and she knows what she saw. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. And if you happen to have some peanuts next to you, here's what we're going to do. Oh, get your peanuts out. I'll give you 15 seconds to go get your peanuts, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Speak and spell. So 15 seconds, all right? Get your peanuts. There we go. I'm gonna eat some right now. There we go. Oops. If you got your peanuts, come on. Let's share in the... Delish.
And a family and so on.
It's all a dream.
Hepburn said quite clearly on
Dream,
the show,
dream,
one thing most people remember, you
You're
can't
listening
have it
to
all. You can't
Inspirado
relax in the street.
Projecto.
You have to just
Oh, by the way, something else I wanted to say that's really cool about Unavowed is that you can actually choose what kind of career you used to have. I chose actor, of course. I think you can also choose cop and another one. But wow, it's so intriguing. I mean, it really is truly like a choose your own adventure. It's just crazy. Just crazy. So it's put out by Wadjet Eye Games. Wadjeteye Games. It's the Eye of Horus, I believe. That's their mascot, so to speak. What do you call it? Logo? So a guy named Dave Gilbert and Janet Gilbert, Ben Chandler, and Francisco Gonzalez. These are all the people who put together Unavowed. I'm excited to see what else they come out with. It's a wonderful storyline. I mean, the one that I chose anyway. I don't know if I mentioned this before or not, but what's interesting is... Oh, yeah, I told you about that. How with the big boss, when you fight like a big boss, so to speak, you're given choices as to how you want to deal with them. And based on whatever it is you choose, that's what's going to happen. And then you're going to hear certain people who have certain opinions, which makes so much sense, and other people who have other opinions, which makes so much sense. So it's really a fun game. When you're talking, so you see like little sort of these characters on the screen, these little characters, and when they talk, it's cool because a larger drawing. A larger drawing. Let's see. How do I explain this? It's kind of like a. It kind of looks like it's drawn rather than. It looks more drawn than pixelated, if that makes sense. It's still pixelated. But so a face will pop up. Let's say if it's one of the characters, a lady cop. Let's say she's saying something. You see her little character talking, but then blip, her face pops up there, along with the words of what she's saying, so you can read along too. Because there are all kinds of little clues hiding in there. The notes that you investigate on people's desks or find within the pages of a book, or a reminder that they put, a little memo that they put up on their desk, let's say, or pay close attention to mirrors. There's just a whole bunch of interesting stuff that's to be said about this game. And I would say, let's see, let me just read off. I'm going to read to you what they have on their official site, okay? This won't give away anything. 1 year ago, a demon possessed you, forcing you to tear a trail of bloodshed through New York City. Your salvation finally comes in the form of the Unavowed, an ancient society dedicated to stopping evil. You are free, But your world is in tatters. You have no home, no friends, and are wanted by the police. Your old life is gone, but perhaps you can start a new one. Join the ranks of the Unavowed and fight against the oncoming darkness. Let me read to you the features here. Choose a male or female protagonist. 3 playable origin stories. Branching storyline. A total of 4 companion characters to choose from, each with their own talents and abilities. Twice the resolution of a typical Wadjet Eye game. All the usual guff, voice acting, commentary, original music, etc., etc., etc. The art in here is awesome. These guys would be fun to interview. I think that's what I'll have to do. I'll have to send them a message and see how they'd feel about being interviewed. Might as well also do this for unforeseen incidents as well. But each of these game makers, they're weaving these awesome stories, getting you involved, and dealing with the consequences. It's really interesting. It's really cool. Very imaginative, Unavowed. I think that's all for now. Here, let's get a little shot of Marky eating his food before we sign off.
You were possessed by some kind of demon. It made you do things.
One year has passed since your possession. You were wanted by the police for many violent crimes. But we can help. We can give you a new identity, a new life, a new purpose. Welcome to the Unavowed, my friend. Trust me, your life will never be the same.
Magic is real. You know this, and you're part of it now.
You were clearly meant for this life. It requires difficult choices, as you are no doubt discovering.
Supernatural threats have risen. Exponentially. It's been difficult to contain.
Monsters working out in the open never leads to anything good. People will fight back, one way or another. And innocents have to pay the price, every time.
You want to prove yourself to the Unavowed? Now is your chance.